So I said we'd have our Indiana County Commissioners on the air with us. And unless that parked creature across the road, Sherene, is Robin, then it looks like it's just you, Commissioner Sherene Hess.
Good morning.
And that person is walking right on by. So that's not
I guess not.
Robin underneath that big old parka. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. And representing the county commissioners this morning is Sherene Hess. So we're in the year 2022. And we're underway with this big old blizzard. And so that's quite momentous for us. But I wanted to talk about emergency preparedness a little bit because
good topic, yes.
It's something that is at the top of every mind. It takes sometimes an emergency to shake people awake a little bit, and this can be an emergency when you get snow of this nature. But emergency preparedness overall for Indiana County has really been one of the major things that we've been talking about over the past couple of years, thanks to this pandemic.
Yes.
And we've sure got a good crew in place, don't we?
We have an excellent crew under the direction of Tom Stutzman, our emergency management agency, and our 911 center. They are just doing fantastic things, and we're very fortunate. It's not cheap to provide public safety and emergency management. And we see that in our budget. It's, our EMA is one of the the biggest budget items that we deal with, and we're happy to do it. We get a lot of support from the federal government, the state governments to do that with radios and equipment and command centers and things like that to support emergency preparedness. But really, it's all about the people, and it's about well-skilled and trained people, and we have an excellent staff. So. We're very fortunate in Indiana County, but that doesn't mean that we can let our guard down. We need to always be working with our partners. And I was just at the fire chiefs meeting with Commissioner Gorman, and we saw firsthand how those folks are working hard. And just to hear about some of the things you don't think about as a person not in that field, and what they need to deal with, and the communications that need to take place so that you can save lives and save property. So hats off to all of our volunteer fire departments and all of the men and women that work so hard to, keep them going in the midst of a pandemic and all of it.
You mentioned communication, and in Indiana County, that's been a real challenge, and not just in recent years. Historically, it's been a challenge because of the terrain of Indiana County, because of the availability of resources in Indiana County. Radio communication from agency to agency. And even from fire company to Indiana County itself to control, it's really been hard to do. And over the years, the county has done some major things. But it seems like you get a great improvement in radio communications, and then in no time, it's 10 years has gone by, and,
yes.
and we're outdated again.
Yes, and that's really about it. What it boils down to is the technology changes so fast, and I don't pretend to really understand it or can talk about it like Commissioner Keith is really quite well versed in those things as being a volunteer fire department person himself for many years. And I know that our Jolene Burkhardt at the 911 center, our director there, is she can talk backwards and frontwards about communications, and but the technology moves so fast, and it's all about being prepared with that too. You have to look ahead, and we spend millions of dollars of making sure that our fire departments can communicate with the EMA and the 911 system, and with the law enforcement agencies that need to be present during emergencies, and all of those different partners. So it is significant, and we have excellent staff in place that are always keeping an eye on it so that we don't get caught off guard, because you can't afford to do that. Yeah,
and with the upgrades we're having in terms of broadband, that will benefit as well emergency services.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And we continue to work on broadband. That is an arena that just as soon as you get one place taken care of, and then you don't even take care of a place, you just get certain spots taken care of, another one pops up, and I want people to understand that it is a complex situation. And you mentioned terrain. We have a geography that is difficult, hills and valleys, and lines of sight are difficult, and the vertical resources are out there, and we're working very hard to maximize all the dollars that are have come to us so far and will be coming to Indiana County and rural areas. There's a lot happening, and we just ask for people to be patient. And I know that's hard, but even when I lived just a couple miles outside of the borough, internet service was lacking, and it was very frustrating. So I can only imagine now when it is so vital, the frustration that people are having.
Oh yeah,
but we're working on it.
Yeah, and where I live, of course, satellite internet is the only internet that is available, and that's very, very difficult and unreliable, and that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
Is there a resource available where people can say, I want to keep up to date with what Indiana County is doing and just be able to follow so that I know what the latest information is and how I might be able to take advantage of whatever becomes the newest thing?
Well, we do have a website, and our staff works hard to keep it as updated as possible. But websites are static. That is something that we are constantly trying to figure out. How can we better communicate with our, constituents in the county and even the folks outside of the county? I know that I put together a chart because I love tables and charts and so on. But of every single county-related meeting or governmental authority, board, or commission, the commissioners appoint to about maybe 12 or 15 different boards, and all of those boards have their own meetings. If you want to know where your tax dollars go, the municipal services, the solid waste authority, the water, the other water authorities, our housing authority. We have a behavioral development health authority or advisory committee. Our emergency management you talked about. There's a local emergency planning committee. There's hundreds and hundreds of citizens that serve on these boards and commissions. And I always encourage. I know those meetings aren't super exciting, but they are interesting to the extent of that's where the real work gets done to invest our public tax dollars into the services and the visionary kinds of things that make communities work and keep them safe.
Sherene Hess, our Indiana County Commissioner, with us here this morning. We've been talking about emergency services and those various things. Of course, there are other things that occupy the minds of the county commissioners. The budget is certainly something that people are constantly looking at.
Sure.
And revenue income as opposed to revenue outgo.
Yep.
It can be sometimes scary to look at those numbers, can't
it? Yeah. You always, you're trying to make your revenue be more than your expenditures. But, in times like these, we work hard. And there's been a real scrutiny of our budget by this set of commissioners. And I commend our board for really looking at, and looking at down the road, the 5-year plan we're talking about and so on, and the 10-year. And it gets a little complex when you have all this infusion of these dollars, these sort of one-time dollars from the American Rescue Plan and the build, the jobs and infrastructure plan, and all of those dollars that are coming in. So, we're working hard to maximize those dollars. I know that sounds like it's a funny word, but really, we don't want to just spend $1 and get $1 benefit. We want to spend $1 and get $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 in benefit, and that takes a lot of thought. And we have terrific staff and economic development folks who are working with us, and all our partners. And we just sent a letter out to the boroughs and the townships and a lot of the community leaders to say, what are your priorities? What do you want to see happen in Indiana? Not just to take care of the present day problems, but what are the future things that you want to see happen here, so that we can, continue to keep Indiana this place that's very attractive to live and work and go outside and play, and especially with all this snow.
Sure. And you mentioned the planners. Of course, the news that the pedestrian bridge over Route 22 is not dead, and the planning goes on for that, and some funds coming in to help that project get underway, at least, and looking forward to that. That's one of those projects where people say, well, okay, how can we maximize those dollars that are being spent there? And is there a way that we're going to be able to do that? And there have been some doubts, frankly, about that project, whether or not it can be, for want of a better term, a moneymaker for Indiana County. How do you stand on that?
Well, it's no secret that I've been in support of that project because I see I see the vision of it in terms of outdoor recreation and economic development, and also as a connector. It's not just part of a trail. It's connecting one area to another in a very safe way. We see that the NVI has started operations where the old biotech was. Mm-hmm. We see that Route 22 is as busy as ever. We see the school district having, seeing that as a benefit to them. We see a lot of benefits in terms of safety, and I know that's a concern when you build something. So, these new things, there's safety issues all the time. PennDOT has approved, those kinds of issues since for many years now. PennDOT's been on record as giving the green light in terms of safety, and they will not approve an at-grade crossing on Route 22. We wish that they would have. That would make things a lot easier. But we know that if people want to cross over from one side of 22 to another, that's the only safe way to do it. And so, yeah, the project is still alive. There's still work to do on it. It's visionary, it's big, and, there's a lot of people hoping it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
One of the things about it is since that became 4-lane from Pittsburgh to Altoona, all of a sudden people decided we can really go fast on this road. And
yes, they have.
Speeds have increased. I think there's probably no other road that has as many accidents as Route 22, and probably that area, 2 or 3 mile stretch is where most of those accidents happen. If we can keep people off that road,
absolutely,
so they're not trying to cross it on foot or pushing a bicycle or whatever, then that's a good idea.
You're right. You got it. Well, stay tuned on that one. It's an exciting project, and we always encourage anybody to give us a call, and we're happy to talk about it, the challenges and the benefits of it. So,
all right. So what's coming up for the county commissioners at your next meeting?
Oh, boy. Sometimes it's hard to think that far ahead. But it is kind of fourth Wednesday of the month, second and fourth. We just continue to keep a watch on all of our departments. Our airports doing some great things. All of the human services. I know one thing that they're talking about is the where they do a count of homeless and unsheltered folks. And I always want people to know, like, if you know of somebody, you don't have. It's not a big deal. Call our office, call our human services, or call the sheriff's office. The Sheriff IOC is involved in that, and let them know. That's something we want to keep an eye on too. And those are, that's a continued problem. Homelessness. It's not going to go away. Yeah. We thank our human services agencies for all the work they do in that regard. Overnight low temperatures later this week going to be below zero. So to be homeless and out in that sort of thing is a very, very dangerous thing. Yep. Commissioner Sherene Hess, thanks so much for coming in to visit with us. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. We appreciate it. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS. WCCS.